Comfort is the enemy, Ibri. Most people spend their entire lives running from discomfort. They design their days around avoiding pain, avoiding failure, avoiding anything that makes them feel small or weak. They think comfort equals happiness, but that's the biggest trap ever built for the human mind. Comfort doesn't make you happy. It makes you soft. It dulls your edge, kills your hunger, and blinds you to your potential. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you choose the slow death of your own greatness. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when everything in you wants to stop, but you keep moving anyway. Pain is the tuition fee for growth. Discomfort is the gym where your character is trained. Most people will never understand that because they're addicted to easy. They want results without struggle, success without failure, growth without sacrifice. But the truth is brutal. Nothing worth having comes without suffering. Every breakthrough in your life will demand you to go through a storm. You can't cheat that process. You can't hack it. The pain is the process. The struggle is the requirement. That's why the strong become stronger. Not because they were born different, but because they stopped running from what scared them. Comfort whispers in your ear that you've done enough, that you deserve to rest, that maybe this is as far as you can go. That voice is not your friend. It's your cage. The moment you start listening to it, you stop chasing growth. You start protecting what you have instead of fighting for what you could be. And that's when life starts shrinking. You lose your edge. You lose your fire. Comfort breeds complacency, and complacency is death for anyone who dreams of becoming more. Every second you spend in comfort is a second you waste becoming someone stronger. When you look at the people who truly made something of themselves, they didn't do it by staying comfortable. They were willing to live in pain. They were willing to be tired, to be doubted, to be broken. They understood that pain isn't punishment. It's the teacher. Every time you face something uncomfortable and survive it, you take a piece of that power with you. You build endurance. You build self-respect. You build control. And slowly the things that used to scare you become the things that fuel you. That's the transformation comfort will never give you. Most people will never find out what they're capable of because they tap out the second life gets hard. They want to be strong without being tested. They want to be respected without earning it. But the ones who separate themselves are the ones who step into the discomfort voluntarily. They run toward what others run from. They do the extra reps when nobody's watching. They push through the mental fog, the exhaustion, the pain, because they understand that comfort is a liar. It will promise you peace, but deliver emptiness. It will make you feel safe, but keep you stuck exactly where you are. The body grows under resistance. The mind grows under stress. The spirit grows under struggle. Every time you seek the easier road, you rob yourself of that evolution. You rob yourself of strength, of pride, of self-trust. The version of you that lives inside comfort will never meet the version of you capable of greatness. They exist in different worlds. The only bridge between them is pain. You can't find your purpose sitting in comfort. You find it in the trenches when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when nothing seems to be working, but you show up anyway. That's where your real identity is built. Every time you feel discomfort, that's your signal. That's the exact moment your mind is giving you a choice. Run back to safety or step forward into growth. Most people turn back, and that's why they live the same year 100 times and call it a life. But the few who keep walking into the pain, who embrace the unknown, who use discomfort as a weapon, they become unstoppable. Because once you stop needing things to be easy, you stop being fragile. Once you stop needing comfort, you start becoming powerful. The truth is simple, but hard to swallow. Comfort is the enemy, and the war for your greatness starts the moment you decide to stop living like it's your friend. The signal of growth. Unhappiness isn't punishment. It's not life turning against you. It's not a curse, and it's not a sign that you're failing. It's the signal of growth. It's your body and mind screaming that something inside you is being rebuilt, that you're being pushed beyond what's comfortable, that you're shedding an old version of yourself. Most people misread that signal. They think unhappiness means they're broken, so they rush to fix it with distractions, comfort, or escape. They turn to things that numb the feeling, the phone, the food, the excuses, anything that keeps them from facing the truth. But unhappiness isn't meant to be numbed. It's meant to be understood. It's your mind's way of saying, we're changing, we're leveling up, stay with me. When you start working towards something real, something difficult, unhappiness will show up first. That's the tax. That's the test. Growth never introduces itself as joy. It shows up as confusion, fatigue, frustration, and pain. You start questioning yourself. Why am I doing this? Why does this hurt so much? Why can't I just be happy? But that's the exact moment when transformation is happening. The problem is, most people quit right there. They misinterpret the pain of progress as the pain of failure. They think the struggle means it's not working, when in reality, it's the only proof that it is. When you start tearing down your limits, your mind resists. It's wired to protect what's familiar, even if what's familiar is misery. That's why unhappiness feels heavy, because your comfort zone is fighting for survival. It wants you to go back to the easy path, the predictable one, the safe one. But safe is the enemy of evolution. Safe is where dreams die. Every ounce of unhappiness you feel while chasing growth is evidence that your old self is being burned away, and the new one is fighting to emerge. Growth doesn't feel like peace. It feels like chaos, like doubt, like emotional warfare. But underneath that chaos is construction. The caterpillar doesn't enjoy the cocoon. It's dark, it's suffocating, it's lonely. But inside that discomfort, transformation is happening. The same thing happens to you when you decide to grow. You lose people, you lose comfort, you lose the version of yourself that used to feel safe. You might wake up every day questioning if it's worth it. That's the signal. That's the transformation. You can't rebuild yourself without tearing down the foundation first. You can't reach higher levels with the same mindset that kept you comfortable. The pain is not there to stop you. It's there to sculpt you. Unhappiness becomes dangerous only when you misunderstand it. When you start seeing it as something to escape instead of something to learn from. You start running in circles. You chase temporary relief instead of permanent change. You can't heal what you keep hiding from. You can't grow by pretending everything is fine. You grow by sitting in the discomfort, feeling it fully, and asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because every time unhappiness appears, it's revealing a weakness, a place where you've outgrown your limits, but haven't yet built the strength to move past them. That's not failure. That's data. That's feedback. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who are always happy. They're the ones who can function through unhappiness, who can use it as information instead of letting it destroy them. They see it for what it is, a signal that something inside is breaking open and something stronger is being built. They don't run from it. They respect it. They know that every storm has purpose, that every dark season is just a transition phase. The pain is not random. The struggle is not meaningless. Every time you feel unhappy, you're being invited to evolve. You're being asked to step into a higher version of yourself. Unhappiness is not the enemy. Indifference is. When you stop feeling anything, that's when you've stopped growing. But when you feel the discomfort, the frustration, the confusion, that's life letting you know you're still in motion. It's proof that you're still fighting, still expanding, still alive. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. Unhappiness is a signal that you're becoming something more than what you were. And that process will never feel easy because growth was never meant to feel good. The forge of discipline, real success, isn't built when you feel inspired, motivated, or comfortable. It's built in the dark moments when everything in you is screaming to stop, when your body is exhausted, when your mind is begging for relief. That's where discipline is forged. That's where the real work happens. Most people think discipline is about control, about rigid routines or strict rules. It's not. Discipline is the weapon you build inside yourself when motivation dies, when comfort disappears, and when the only thing keeping you in motion is your will. Discipline is forged in pain, in doubt, in silence, in those moments when nobody is watching and you're left alone with the choice to either rise or fold. When you reach that breaking point, that exact second when your mind says, I can't, that's the edge of your limits. Most people back down there. They let that voice win. They walk away, telling themselves it's not worth it. But the few who keep going in that moment, they enter a place most people never will. They learn to separate emotion from execution. They understand that feelings don't decide outcomes, choices do. Discipline is built every time you act, despite how you feel. Every time you ignore the voice that says quit and keep pushing, you're hardening your mind, sharpening your focus, and proving to yourself that weakness doesn't control you. The forge of discipline is not glamorous. It's lonely. It's repetitive. It's thankless. You wake up when you don't want to. You train when you're tired. You work when you're uninspired. Nobody claps for you. Nobody sees it. But that's the beauty of it. That's where transformation hides, in the daily grind that nobody respects until it pays off. The world celebrates the results, but the results are just the echo of discipline. Every rep, every early morning, every late night, every moment of boredom or frustration, those are the hammer strikes shaping who you are. Each one burns, but each one builds. You can't fake discipline. You can post motivation. You can talk about goals. But when the pain hits, all that talk fades. Discipline is measured by what you do when comfort disappears. It's built in the repetition of doing hard things until they stop being optional. You might not see progress today or tomorrow or next week, but the work compounds. Every time you show up, you're adding a layer to your foundation. Eventually, that foundation becomes unshakable. That's how warriors are built, not from bursts of motivation, but from the slow, steady fire of daily effort. There will be days when the weight feels too heavy, when the task seems pointless, when the voice inside your head is louder than everything around you. That's the test. That's the forge. You don't grow when things go your way. You grow when you're on the edge of breaking, but choose to continue. Discipline is not born from success. It's born from struggle. It's hammered out of frustration, carved out of pain, refined by failure. The moments you hate the most are the ones that define you the most. Because in those moments, you're forced to decide who's in control, your feelings or your purpose. When your mind says quit, that's not weakness. That's the signal that you're entering a place of growth. That's where you separate who you were from who you're becoming. Every time you push past that point, you make quitting harder the next time. You rewire your brain to see resistance not as a stop sign, but as a challenge. That's the real power of discipline. It changes your relationship with pain. You stop fearing it and start using it. You stop seeing struggle as a setback and start seeing it as a forge. People look at those who achieve greatness and think they were born different. They weren't. They were built in the fire. They bled for it. They endured every ounce of pain most people run from. They stayed in the forge long enough for it to burn away weakness and leave only steel behind. Every early morning, every brutal workout, every lonely night spent grinding instead of resting. That's the fire that shapes them. Discipline isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's the decision to keep moving forward when everything inside you wants to stop. That decision is made in silence, in suffering, in struggle. That's where the forge of discipline lives. Embrace the void Ibriere. There's a place most people run from. The empty space between who they are and who they want to become. That space feels cold, lonely, and endless. It's the void. It's where everything comfortable disappears, where the noise fades, and where you're left face to face with your own thoughts. Most people can't handle that silence. They fill it with distractions, with noise, with other people, because they can't stand to be alone with themselves. But the ones who learn to embrace the void, they become unbreakable. The void isn't punishment. It's the proving ground. It's the dark place where identity is born and character is forged. When you start chasing something real, discipline, success, mastery, you'll find yourself in the void. Nobody will understand you. You'll feel cut off from everything that used to make you feel safe. Friends fall away, comfort fades, motivation dies. What's left is silence. That silence is heavy, but it's sacred. It's the sound of transformation. That's where you find out who you really are, when no one's cheering, when no one's watching, when nobody cares whether you make it or not. That's when your real self steps forward. Not the version that wants to impress the world, but the one that's built for the fight. The void strips you down. It removes every excuse, every comfort, every distraction. It exposes the truth, how much pain you can handle, how much discipline you really have, how badly you actually want it. It's not a place for ego. The void doesn't care about what you've done. It cares about what you're willing to do now. It's where the weak get broken and the strong get rebuilt. You can't fake strength in the void. You can't hide behind words or image. There's no applause, no validation, no comfort, only work. The grind becomes your mirror. Every day you show up, every hour you suffer in silence, the void is watching, shaping, refining. People think loneliness is a curse, but it's not. It's a mirror that reflects your inner reality. Most people never look into it long enough to see what's truly inside. They run from that emptiness because it feels unbearable, but that's only because they've never learned to use it. The truth is, the void is where focus lives. When the world goes quiet, your purpose becomes loud. When there's no one to depend on, you find out what kind of person you are. The loneliness you feel is the absence of distraction, the space where your true potential begins to take shape. That's where character is carved, layer by layer, through pain, patience, and persistence. Every great transformation happens in isolation. The athlete training before dawn, the writer staring at the blank page, the fighter running in the dark. That loneliness is not a sign of failure. It's the cost of becoming someone different. You can't evolve while holding on to everything that made you comfortable. You have to walk into the void and stay there long enough for it to change you. It's uncomfortable. It's brutal. It's endless. But it's necessary. Because in that silence, you learn to hear your own mind. You learn to fight your own weakness. You learn to live without applause, without attention, without needing validation. That's freedom. In the void, the grind becomes your only companion. The repetition, the exhaustion, the monotony, it all starts to break you down. But that's the point. You have to be broken to be rebuilt. The void teaches you that greatness isn't about excitement or motivation. It's about endurance. It's about showing up again and again, no matter how empty it feels. The grind is not glamorous. It's silent, dirty, invisible. But that's where real power comes from. The hours nobody sees, the sacrifices nobody claps for, the pain nobody understands. Every drop of sweat, every lonely night, every step taken when you want to stop is a brick in the foundation of who you're becoming. Embracing the void means accepting that you don't need anyone to save you. It means standing in the emptiness and realizing that everything you need is already inside you. No shortcuts, no applause, no easy way out. Just you and the work. The void isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's the place where your fake self dies and your real one begins. It's where all weakness burns away and all strength is earned. The void doesn't break you. It builds you if you have the courage to stay long enough to let it do its work. Freedom through suffering. Most people spend their lives running, not from danger, but from discomfort. They run from pain, from failure, from silence, from the truth that the world doesn't owe them anything. They build their lives around avoiding struggle, pretending that happiness comes from staying safe. But the harder you run from suffering, the more control it has over you. Every time you avoid pain, you give it power. You give it permission to chase you. The only way to break that cycle is to stop running, to stand still, to face it. Because the moment you stop fearing unhappiness, you stop being controlled by it. That's where real freedom begins. Freedom isn't comfort. Freedom is control. Control over your reactions, your emotions, your choices. And that kind of control only comes from suffering. Suffering is the teacher most people refuse to learn from. They see it as punishment, as unfair, as something to escape. But the truth is, suffering is the price of transformation. It's the process that strips you of weakness, of excuses, of illusions. It's the mirror that shows you who you really are when everything easy is gone. The pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. It shows you the parts of yourself you didn't know existed. The grit, the patience, the endurance. Most people never find out what they're capable of because they never stay in the pain long enough to discover it. They quit too early, and then they spend their lives wondering why nothing changes. Freedom through suffering doesn't mean you enjoy pain. It means you understand its purpose. You learn to see it as a test, as a forge, as a path to clarity. When you stop resisting suffering, it loses its power to hurt you. You start to realize that pain doesn't control you. Your fear of it does. Once that fear dies, the world opens up. You stop living reactively and you start living deliberately. You stop chasing comfort and you start chasing truth. And the truth is, there's no growth without pain. There's no strength without struggle. There's no freedom without suffering. Suffering is the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your background, your talent, or your luck. It comes for everyone. The difference between the weak and the strong isn't who suffers, it's who endures it. The strong learn to find peace inside the pain. They stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? That shift is everything. It's the moment you stop being a victim and start being the architect of your own mind. Every hardship, every failure, every heartbreak becomes fuel. You start to see suffering not as an obstacle, but as the doorway to mastery. There's a kind of silence that comes after you've been broken enough times. A silence that's not weakness, but understanding. You stop reacting to small problems because you've seen worse. You stop fearing struggle because you've learned that you can survive it. That's real power. Not the absence of pain, but the ability to move through it with purpose. When you've suffered deeply and kept going, nothing outside of you can control you anymore. The opinions of others lose their weight. The need for approval fades. The fear of failure disappears because you've already faced hell and you didn't run. Suffering purifies your perspective. It teaches you what truly matters. When you've lost, when you've failed, when you've been knocked down again and again, you stop chasing temporary highs. You stop needing everything to feel good. You start valuing discipline over comfort, growth over pleasure, progress over ease. You learn to find peace in the process, even when it hurts. That's when life stops owning you. You become the master of your mind. You decide what pain means. You decide how far you go. When you accept suffering as part of the path, you stop waiting for the world to make you happy. You start building strength instead of seeking relief. The mind that has endured pain and refused to quit becomes something unstoppable. It doesn't matter what happens. Failure, loss, rejection, none of it breaks you anymore. You've learned that pain is temporary, but the strength it builds lasts forever. The world can throw everything it has at you, and you'll still move forward because once you've found freedom through suffering, there's nothing left to fear.